What's up everybody, Dara here again. Yeah, today we got a video on just showing you guys how I close down a block. We are at the main plot right now. I am busy irrigating the soil, so I'll be explaining that in a few minutes. Right now we are at the top of the main block. This block has been affected quite a lot by weeds and also by some root systems from the neighboring tree. You can see here, this matiquihi tends to send roots under the ground, under the road. So these tree front beds are pretty much affected heavily by this matiquihi, which is sucking up a lot of the water from the ground. So that's one of my projects, is trying to remove that. And the main reasons why I am doing this is because of one, the weeds. The weeds have been quite bad on this plot, and I have not been able to manage it. So I am going to be covering it with the silage tarp. I'll be showing you guys how I do that in a few minutes. So I have the silage tarp here. I have two, one at the other side. So I'm going to be covering this block off so that I can force all the weeds to germinate and then kill them all. So the other reason why I'm closing down this block is because this farm does produce year-round, and it tends to become very stressful in the summertime. Aruba's season is mostly from the mid-October till July of June is when you can have a good production of crops. Is because that is a little bit more cooler seasons compared to when summer hits. Because when summer hits, it gets really hot, and even worse in September when it's hot and humid and there's no wind. So it kind of becomes very hard for you to grow any crop. It's not impossible, but it does mean that you do need to irrigate 2 times more than normal. So for me right now, to irrigate all the blocks that I have to keep in production while using 2 times more water for the same amount of production, it's not really worth it. So I mostly shut down most of my blocks. So this block is going to be closed down. At my secondary plot, I am also closing down all the blocks. So the only block that I'm going to be having in production, this block is the only one that's going to stay in production. All the other blocks are going to be closed. And oh yeah, the greenhouse is also going to stay in production because that's a little bit easier to manage with irrigation and a lot less stress for the plants. So right now I'm just irrigating the soil because when I put the silage tarp on top, it will keep the moisture into the soil. It will force all the weeds seeds to germinate, but because of how the silage tarp is made, it will not let the weeds get sunlight, so they will die off on the ground. So then when I want to use the plot back, it would be way easier for me to grow in it because I have a lot less weed pressure. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. So this is a silage tarp. It's a tarp that one side of it is white and the other one is black. I don't know if I remember if I mentioned this. Yes, I mentioned this in how to make a block. But I use this also to kill off weeds, so on the field, or when I'm not going to be producing on a block. So in this case, I'm not going to be producing on the block. I'm going to protect my investment, being the soil that's been being more organic and introducing nutrients. So I want to protect my soil. So by using this solid sharp, one side is white, that will help all the weeds to germinate, but because they will never get sunlight, they will just die off there. So all they call it the seed bank, will go quite low and won't be really affecting me in the next season or the next time I start producing on this crop in this block. To hold the size sharp right now, I am using, it's called a row bag. It's a bag, it's a longer bag than compared to a sandbag that you put rocks in it, and this would hold down the solid sharp. Both of these things I did buy from Farmer's Friend. The solid sharp was cheaper there, and this row bag I bought it from Farmer's Friend. I'm not sponsored by them, but it is a good product, so I'm letting you guys know. So I'm going to be putting this side, and the other one I'm going to be layering on top of this side because I'm getting wind from the wind comes from this side, so more from the right than the left. So I want this right side to be overlapping this other side, so never wind would go under the tarp. And that's kind of what you want to do. You want to try to keep it as sealed as possible so that the moisture would stay there and it will help force all the weeds to germinate. And then you will have less weeds to manage later. So yeah, right now I'm going to be putting some fuel to just hold this tarp steady, and then I'll bring the other one and just layer it on top. All right, let's go. Got a bunch of row bags right here. These things can get quite heavy. So this is how I normally put it. The focus more on the sides than in the center. The center I just have a few to just not let the wind really go under it and then lift it up. This side I don't really mind that much because the other solid sharp that I have there is going to be layering on top. So it's not going to be affected by wind that much. So the other point that I need to put a lot of weights on is this side, because that side is going to get the most wind coming towards it. So this solid sharp is going to stay here for around 2 months, or at least maybe at the beginning of October. I don't know precisely. I'm calculating 2 months, but I could send it a little bit further. Because it's going to be summer, this fabric is going to be extremely hot. So it's going to so it's going to be killing all the weeds for me. So I am doing this here at the secondary plot. I have both of the side sharp that are bigger than this one already ready to go put, so I'm going to be setting up that later in this week. So yeah, this is the end of the video. I am just wanted to show you guys how I close down a plot, because I'm going to be doing this with all the other plots. The next video I am going to be making about the germination of cold crops in the old way that I used to do, the one that I mentioned in the last video. But because I've been really busy doing this and setting up other projects that needs to be done and planning a bit in front, because I need to order seeds now. I had to order seeds back in a few weeks ago, and I got some few projects with other farmers, so it's been really busy. All right, peace. Pasa un buen día.